Welcome, I'm Walcom, and it's been a while since we've taken a look at a genuine foam flinging hand cannon on the channel. Luckily for us, Dart Zone is here to rectify that. With the Dart Zone Max Nitro Shot Plus Volcanic Pro. Of course we're going to unbox it, but then we're going to take it over to the chronograph to see how hard it shoots, and then take it outside to see how far it shoots just before we open it up and modify the crap out of it, so we can make sure it's actually a hand cannon. Also, special shout out to my homie Homely who sent this thing over to me. Thank you for looking out, man. I really appreciate it. This one's for you. Dimension, mighty jump, mighty kick, mighty action X. That's pretty big. But to be fair, it's not as big as I thought it could be. It's still certifiably big. AccuBoost technology. I'm really curious what that is, because from here I could be a cynic and say it just looks like one of their normal B cars in a plastic prison. It does come with 2 Venom Pro style magazines, so the angled talons, the barrel, darts, and a little sight, all for the princely sum of $55, only available on their website. The Boxer Pro is available on Walmart shelves, and it's really not that much smaller than this. Max, die, Henshin comes with their standard iPro as well. You're gonna wanna use these because these blasters hit pretty hard. You don't wanna take 150 FPS foam dart to the eye. Can I not do that in one video, please? I do want more of these, so Dart Zone, if you're watching and you wanna not hate me, please send me over a couple hundred to a couple of thousand of them. We burn through darts quick over here. All right, first things first, grip is pretty okay. It's honestly not that hefty of a blaster either, so this goes a long ways. We can actually remove our B car here, and this is the whole thing, and yet it is comically large. The Volcanic Pro isn't going to be a diminutive blaster by any term, but it's supposed to be a hand cannon or a primary pistol. I like that one a lot more. But it does feel okay. The sights are very tall. We've got a safety right there. We've got a mag release right there. Sling hoop right here. And yeah, this is a reverse Picatinny mount, so you can actually take your barrel and store it on the blaster when you're not using it for a little bit more compact package. It is a Springer blaster, so there's no need for batteries or anything like that. It's spring powered. And while it does have a muzzle attachment point, it's only meant for the included B car, and this is not supposed to work on anything else as far as I know. And yes, these are the plastic bearings. $55 seems like a bit much for this so far. But more importantly, the prime has to be really good, and at stock 150 feet per second, it's not too heavy, but it is a little heavy. You're gonna have a lot easier time priming this thing compared to like your Aeon Pro X if you happen to own one of those. And these sights back here do give you a ton of leverage, although it does bite into my finger a little bit, but that's not bad. It doesn't have slam fire. I'm gonna hold down the trigger here. When I prime it back, yeah, it does fire on the return. So you can use this thing like off the hip and just empty your magazine. Yeah, but you can tell it's a lot of work. Maybe a lower spring would help with that. Mag goes in, doesn't fall out, and it does. So you could one-hand reload this thing. Not that you can use it one-handed. So it's not really a sidearm. Again, primary pistol. There are 24 darts included. That is enough to load both magazines one time. And I don't want to lose too many of these before I actually test it, but the trigger's a little squishy, but it's very light. That is gonna do wonders for your accuracy, and it's actually pretty good out of the box, and that doesn't even have the B car on here. Okay. Okay. All right. All right, I haven't even put a new spring in this thing yet. And yeah, they actually sell a mod kit for this thing on their website, which is another $10 if you're looking for it, but it does come with 2 springs and an aftermarket barrel. The less coil spring being a downgrade spring to put it under 130 feet per second and should hopefully increase the ability for you to slam fire this thing comfortably. But the larger spring getting it over apparently 200 feet per second. But of course, that's with the included longer barrel. And I want to see how this muzzle device works with the longer barrel. I've got a lot of testing to do. I measured the velocity of the Dart Zone Volcanic Pro using its stock barrel and stock spring, the upgraded barrel and the heavy spring, and the stock barrel and the lightweight spring. Pause the video here if you want to see the exact details, but the main takeaway is that the stock blaster is ridiculously powerful and surprisingly consistent with its included darts. This little pistol punches the same weight as Dart Zone primaries do, with the heavyweight spring giving it a pretty significant boost, while the lightweight spring is less consistent but does get it under 130 feet per second velocities. And this does translate to some incredible range outside. Flat shots with the stock spring were capable of clearing 100 feet. And with an angle, it would punch much further. The heavyweight barrel and spring don't add a whole lot to your flat range, but with a slight angle, it would travel much further than its stock counterpart. But it should be noted that changing out these barrels and springs is a chore. This requires you to completely disassemble the blaster, and it is a little fiddly to get back together, but once you have it, it won't be a problem in the future. Once you install the longer barrel, the B-car attachment doesn't exactly work the way it did before. You can take out the little orange spacer inside, and you can pop that on the end of the barrel, and you wind up with this monstrosity, which I don't know about you, but I vehemently hate it. But this will work perfectly fine. That being said, you can take apart this B-car attachment by removing a couple of screws, and yeah, it's just the standard Dart Zone B-car inside of a shell. I'm not quite certain why they did that, but it is cool. You can remove it and then just put it on the end of your blaster like so, and this will have the exact same effect minus the rail. While the upgraded spring and barrel do give you a pretty considerable, about 40 feet per second velocity increase, if you thought the Prime on the Volcanic Pro was already a bit too much stock, the upgraded spring makes it a pretty insurmountable pull. This will make the blaster considerably less fun to use over a long period of time, and it does lower your rate of fire down quite a lot, while also pretty much disabling slam fire, because unless you work out quite a bit, you're not going to be priming this thing back fast enough to really warrant that increased rate of fire. But it is a really nice velocity increase. On the other thing, with the lightweight spring, it's like you're priming nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Which not only makes the blaster far more enjoyable to use, especially for long periods of time, but also gives you a remarkably good, smooth slam fire experience. So there are 3 different ways you can build your Volcanic Pro, and that does make it a very flexible blaster platform. You can easily clear rooms with a lightweight spring. You have a very competent primary pistol with a stock one. And if you want an absolute hand cannon, that's where the heavy spring and long barrel combo come in. And it should be noted, this reverse Picatinny rail attachment that holds your B-car barrel extension on is actually an attachment itself, so you can remove it and have an exposed Picatinny rail down here for whatever you fancy. That means there could be some fun with this female Picatinny to Picatinny rail adapter, but it's also kind of bespoke to this blaster, so your mileage will vary. It's kind of molded in the shape for this blaster specifically. And by comparison, the Brute Pro that came out earlier this year is not that much smaller than the Volcanic Pro, even though this is a pretty massive blaster. This is not small enough compared to it that warrants the massive performance decrease that this thing has. The Volcanic Pro is just a far more efficient blaster design. So realistically, if you only have to choose one, the Volcanic Pro wins out handedly. When it comes to accuracy, I found the Volcanic Pro with its B-car to be more than accurate enough. And really the only thing inhibiting your potential here for accuracy is the awkwardness of the blaster itself. The trigger is very good, but it is a pistol blaster. There is no stock or anything like that to stabilize it. And I found the included iron sights kind of useless, so I slapped a red dot on there, and it was very difficult to get a good sight picture with that red dot. Compared to your full-size rifle primary blasters, the Volcanic Pro does keep up in velocity and accuracy at the cost of being smaller, yet harder to wield. But overall is an exceptional showing for such a compact package. There are more than a few downsides to this design though, the biggest of which is probably the prime. Dart Zone is very into the kind of slide-based priming system, and while that does work for lighter weight primes, once you get up to something this powerful, this is just fighting against you. It's a completely unnatural way to actually operate this blaster. And that could be alleviated a lot if it had like a T-pull prime on the back of it, so you could use like more of a drawing action instead of this kind of awkward pushing action. Aftermarket parts will very easily be able to add that to this blaster, but it's a shame that Dart Zone didn't consider that when building this thing in the first place. A small T-prime or loop or something on the back of it that you can get your fingers into and pull back with a draw would have made this blaster far better to use. Also, for better or worse, the main ergonomics of the blaster is basically the Dart Zone Venom Pro. If you found the Dart Zone Venom Pro comfortable to use, you're gonna find the exact same thing here, but in the inverse, if you didn't like the Venom Pro's ergonomics, you're gonna have problems with the Volcanic Pro. But moving into my opinion, the Dart Zone Volcanic Pro is actually a really good blaster. I was not expecting to like this thing as much as I did. Powerful, compact, accurate, giving you everything you need in a primary pistol category, with a $10 mod kit add-on giving you a ton of flexibility in how you can run this thing. You're talking about a blaster that out of the box keeps up with things like the Adventure Force Nexus Pro and Dart Zone Striker 2.0, while being 1/4 the size of those. Yes, obviously this thing isn't pump action yet. I'm sure there's somebody already working on that. And unlike the Brute Pro, the Volcanic Pro really does carve out its way into that primary pistol category. But that is kind of a niche. Most people aren't looking for primary pistols unless they're really into that kind of thing. It does take a considerable amount more skill to be as effective with this as you can be with a typical primary pump action magazine fed option. Yet you are getting something that is considerably shorter, considerably lighter, and yet just as effective as those other options. But as of this video, it is an online exclusive blaster with a monstrous price to overcome. $55 plus shipping is more expensive than the Striker 2.0 and the Aeon Pro X, while being a pretty niche blaster in itself. The Volcanic Pro completely washed the taste of the Brute Pro out of my mouth. It is a phenomenal blaster in its own right, and if this kind of blaster interests you at all, that $55 price tag won't really matter. But if it was perfect, what exactly would Dart Zone have to sell us next year? Well, I'm hoping for a bolt action and I'm hoping for a lever action, but hopefully those come soon enough.